So I got a comment the other day from a user named Gotham Guardian, and they pretty much just asked, how do you make time for games? And I obviously I responded in the comment section, but I think there's more that I can dive into in a full video opposed to a comment. So I was like, let's break this down. Let's go a little bit more in depth into this. And I guess I should probably start off by saying, like, gaming is my only entertainment, my only sort of media consuming hobby. I really don't watch TV. I don't watch movies much at all. I don't really, outside of YouTube, the social media, I'm really not active on social media much at all. So I try to limit I try to limit my media consumption, social media consumption, and honestly, I don't have many hobbies. Period. Even non media related. I lift weights. I do my cardio exercises. Play basketball. Like to watch football on the weekends. But outside of that, and I guess you could kind of say, well, watching football is sort of TV in some sense, but once a week, Sunday, watch some NFL games. But even then, hanging out with buddies, watching the game, usually we'll be watching NFL on one screen and then be playing like college football or playing 2K or whatever on the other screen in a, couch competitive setting, having tournaments and shit. So there's still some element of gaming going on even then. But it's like, even wrestling, I'm such a big, or I should say, I used to be such a big wrestling fan. And thankfully, I do have one friend who is into wrestling as well. And so we'll get together and watch wrestling every now and then. But like, I don't watch the weekly shows at all. And even the times where I do tune into a Raw or to a SmackDown or whatever, once again, I'll be playing a video game and then kind of absorbing the information on the other screen by just every now and then glancing over, looking and seeing what's going on. And maybe once in a blue moon, I'll actually pause the game and turn up the volume on the wrestling if something actually interesting is taking place. But yeah, so I try to limit my media consumption outside of games across the board. Of course, if like I said, if I'm with someone, they want to watch a TV show, a movie, like I'm not overly diligent about it to the point where I'm like, no, this is my time where I got to be gaming. Like, you got to appreciate life, and to some extent, media consumption outside of gaming goes a long way in appreciating life. Going to the movies and then, all of that shit. Like, I'm not going to not do that, but I'm not going to be the one who initiates doing that, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm never the person who is looking to start up a new show. Or I should say this, I'm never doing that alone. I'm never watching TV alone. I'm never watching movies alone. That's not when I'm alone and I want to engage with some form of media consumption, entertainment. It's always 100,000% of the time going to be video games. And that's not really like some sacrifice that I'm of course there's an element to it where it's like I want to play as many games as possible, that way I feel like I can give you all the best content as possible. But I I would just rather play games. I'd rather play because most of the games I play, I'm getting a story out of them as well. You know what I mean? I'm playing mostly narrative driven games, and I guess that kind of ties straight into another point, being that I don't play live service games. I don't play multiplayer games at all, and that's a massive time sink as well that I think a lot of people aren't aware of when they're like, man, how in the hell do you play so many games? A, a lot of people play more games than I do, but don't play the variety, or the don't play the amount of games that I do, but they'll put in more hours than I do. And because I'm constantly just bouncing from one single player game to the next. And like I said, other than Sunday night, or Sunday, every now and then a Saturday, watching some college football, and then playing college football on the other screen and playing 2K. That's really my only multiplayer gaming. Those are my only go-to multiplayer games, and it's in a couch competitive setting once a week max. So I'm not spending a lot of time in multiplayer, online live service games, and that allows me to play a whole hell of a lot more single player games than most people. But I think if most people weren't, committed to a Final Fantasy 14 or a Fortnite or a Call of Duty or World of Warcraft or whatever service-based MMO, whatever experience they're engaged with and they try to keep up with on a weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever, on a regular basis, I think that obviously the time that would be freed up there, if you put that into single-player games, of course you would knock off a whole hell of a lot more single-player games from your backlog or your current log. Don't know what the fuck I'm saying there, but yeah, I think that's a big factor in all of this. I think when you break down my hours versus your hours gaming, it's probably somewhat similar. I only play, on average, of course, like October, there's so many fucking games coming out. I'm trying to figure out, wake up a little bit early here, play for an hour, go to sleep a little bit late, play for an extra hour. But on average, I only play about 3 hours a day. But like if you look at my overall total hours played, it's usually not going to be anything that's that impressive. I play about 3 hours a day. I try to play 3 hours a day every day. Of course, that's going to change. Some days I'll play 8 hours if I have a total free day where I can do whatever the fuck I want. No outside interference, no obligations. I'm going to be playing the game. I'm going to shut off the outside world and play the game. But there are obviously going to be days where I don't play the game at all. So I think just on average, it balances out to about 3 hours a day, pretty much every single week, every single month. Like I think that's pretty consistently my average across the board. Actually, you know what? Let's look up last month because I have that ranking I can go to. Yeah, I'll pull that up and look at the games that I played, and we'll actually count this up in real time to see how many total hours I logged last month. Okay, yeah, so I just jotted this down. We have Space Marine 2, and some of this, might fluctuate a little bit. This might not be 100% accurate. I'm going off memory. Space Marine 2, about 10 hours or so there. Pyre, about 12 hours on that one. Astrobot, probably 10-ish hours. Wild Bastards, I'd say 15 hours or so. Much longer game than it needed to be, but still pretty good. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, about 7 hours on that. Plucky Squire, 4 hours. I didn't finish that one. Frank Stone, I put 6 hours into that. Quidditch, I put 4 hours into that. Star Wars Outlaws, I put 15 hours into that. I played it, the previous month in August and played, I don't know about the bulk of it, but probably played 15 hours in August and then 15 hours in September as well. But yeah, so if you add all of that up, I think that comes out to 83 hours. If my calculator, if I put in all the numbers correctly here, I think that comes out to 83 hours. And then if you divide that by 30 for, the 30 days in September, yeah, it comes out to 2.7 hours a day. So not even cracking 3 hours for September. Yeah, and like I said, that's pretty much the average for me. Somewhere around that 3 hour mark every single month, other than October. Like I'm talking about, this month is fucking packed. Just finished Silent Hill 2 remake, jumped into Dragon Ball Z, the Budokai, the Sparking Zero. I want to play that Undisputed Boxing. There's so much that I want to play. Alan Wake 2, the physical, comes out, then Dragon Age on the 31st. So like, there are months where I'm like, okay, I got 2 off days back to back. Cool. I'm doing absolutely nothing but playing games all day. And so, it fluctuates a little bit, but I would say on average, 3 hours a day, that's pretty much the baseline across the board. Now, really the more time consuming aspect than, and it's not more time consuming than gaming, but another very time consuming element to this entire equation is like, okay, so how do you, have a full time job, play games as much as you do, and then the wrinkle is this, the content creation. Because this is actually a time suck. And so here's my biggest piece of advice, my biggest tip I can give to anybody out there. And listen, probably not the best guy to be taking fucking advice from, but if you are looking to do content similar to this, grab you a microphone. It ain't got to be, anything all that expensive, but grab you a fucking cord like this one. I hope I'm not messing up the sound, that connects straight to your phone, and do your damn video and your editing from your phone, because there's a lot of downtime when we're at work, and maybe we shouldn't be using that downtime to do extracurricular activities, but I use a lot of my downtime at work where I'm waiting on a client. I got 30 minutes. They're taking forever. Boom, 30 minutes of editing on my iPhone. I do the most simple, basic ass editing you can possibly do. I can crank out, maybe not an entire video, but a shorter video. Like if it's a news related video, a 10-15 minute video, I can edit that bad boy in 30 minutes. So I try to limit my excuses as much as possible with that shit. I don't want to have a specific headspace, a specific physical space, a specific, device. Like, I want to be able to edit my shit and get that shit going and uploaded and ready to go as quick as possible. And any little downtime that I have, I want to use it. This is definitely a problem, but I don't really do much downtime in general. Like, I don't really relax ever. I couldn't tell you the last time that I've been in a just relaxed state of mind in general. I'm never relaxed. The closest I get is when I'm playing the game. And that's something I didn't talk about with the media consumption, but when I'm watching a movie or when I'm watching a TV show, I'm sitting there and all that's going on is between these ears. I can't hardly pay attention to anything that's taking place on the movie or the TV show, because I just got the whirlwind of anxiety that rumbles when I'm not active. And that's the thing with exercise. I have to exercise to the point of exhaustion every single day just to be able to go to sleep. It's chaos upstairs, man. It's absolutely chaos. But the thing about gaming is I am preoccupied. I'm moving my hands. I have something going on other than just consuming the television and trying to take that information in without me inputting any information out, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, man. So that's pretty much that. That's how I'm able to game as much as I do. I think that there's some of it is an illusion, just because it's all single player games and it looks like it's a ton of games being played. But then when you really break it down by hour count, it's not that crazy. Usually, once again, months like October, it might be a little bit crazier. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not sleeping much definitely helps. Not having kids, that helps probably more than anything. That might be the number one factor. I have no kids that I'm aware of. So, yeah, no real obligation there to make sure that someone's existence continues to exist. So, yeah, that's how I'm able to make time for the video games. And that's also how I'm able to make time for the content creation. So, I don't like to be a person who gives advice, throws it out there, but we'll say, for any of you aspiring content creators, if you got you a damn phone, get you a cheap microphone so the audio's not totally dog shit, and you got a device that you can create shit with right there in your pocket. And most people wouldn't even know the difference if you didn't tell them. So that's the secret sauce. That's how the sausage is made. That's how the cookie crumbles. That is how that's how